Why don't we go to my parents' house for New Year's? My husband's words were the catalyst for everything. It marked the beginning of the end. My name is Susan, a 35-year-old housewife. Ben and I had identical jobs and eventually tied the knot. After our beloved daughter Emily was born, I left the company. It wasn't until Emily turned 6 that I visited my husband's parents for the first time. Hey, isn't dinner ready yet? My mother-in-law's voice echoed through the house. Mother, yes, almost, I responded, immersed in my chores. She let out a long sigh. You're a complete slacker. How can you put up with a wife like this, Ben? Yeah, other people's wives are more efficient with everything. But absolutely not her, Ben chimed in, without moving from his spot in front of the TV. Before I could retort, my mother-in-law interjected. Right before I opened my mouth to say it to my husband, I heard my mother-in-law's words. After breakfast, clean out the yard, then clean up the closet, and then the storage outside. It was supposed to be New Year's Day, the most relaxing day of the year, but why was I busily working like this? My husband doing nothing irritated me beyond measure. By the time I finished all the tasks, I was drained. Collapsing onto the couch, exhausted, I barely had a moment's respite. Who said you can take a break? Make lunch already, my mother-in-law commanded, her tone unwavering. I've been working all day, I protested, and I just needed a break. A wife should be working like a servant. You want to eat for free without having to work? Work. My husband's response was no different, steeped in sarcasm. Hey, can you help me a little? No way, he retorted. At home, my husband did nothing, and at my in-laws, he did even less, drinking all day. He hadn't moved since morning. Hey, I'm going grocery shopping, I announced, seeking some assistance. Then go, he replied dismissively. Desperate, I asked him to carry a few things, but his response was swift and cold. Nah, I don't want to. With no other choice, I embarked on the journey to the distant supermarket on foot. 30 minutes each way, with no license to drive, I trudged through the countryside. Do you want me to throw mochi in your face? I muttered under my breath, frustration boiling over. I wanted to say, I'm sure it would be difficult to remove. I muttered to myself, envisioning confronting him while my husband nonchalantly displayed his beer can. I just had a drink. What's with the robot talk? I'm drunk, he slurred, dismissing my concerns. So what? So I can't go, I retorted. Hey, you just don't want to go. I see, you useless jerk. My mother-in-law's angry voice erupted from behind me. Is the meal ready yet? She added, her tone impatient. Oh God, I'm so going to get tons of mochi, I sighed to myself as I finally returned from the arduous 60-minute walk, laden with bags in both hands. Arriving at my in-laws' house, I felt dizzy and collapsed onto the front step. But then I heard it again. Hurry up. You're slow with everything, just like your mother. My mother-in-law's voice pierced the air. My daughter's apology mingled with the reprimand. In that moment, I transformed into a robot, drained of energy yet suddenly revitalized. Ignoring my exhaustion, I sprang to my feet and stormed towards the source of the voice. Stepping over my husband, who remained motionless on the floor, I heard him groan, but it didn't faze me. Upon entering the kitchen, I confronted my mother-in-law and daughter, demanding answers. My daughter held the rice cooker's inner pot, looking uncomfortable. What are you doing, Emily? I inquired. Well, Grandma told me to get ready because she was hungry. First, she told me to cook rice, my daughter explained, her voice tinged with uncertainty. I washed the rice and she can't even cook rice. Such a useless granddaughter. What are you teaching her? She's just like you. I wonder if she really is my son's daughter. My mother-in-law's words stung like a slap. My anger surged beyond control at the mention of my daughter. She's only 6 years old. I can't believe you're asking her to do that. Of course she knows how to do it, but can't you just do it yourself? How dare you do that to your own grandchild? I snapped back. But my mother-in-law's face turned bright red, her voice shaking. What are you saying? You want to put this old woman to work? What a horrible woman. A wife is a servant, and she's supposed to shut up and work. And the daughter of a servant is also a servant. A servant? The word echoed in my mind as she continued her tirade. Who do you owe your living to? You live off my son's hard work. You are supposed to respect my son and me. Stop complaining and get to work, servant. With that, she stormed out of the kitchen. leaving me speechless and seething with rage. I was speechless, dumbfounded by her audacity. Then, I overheard her and my husband talking. "Your wife is useless. She's no better than a servant," my husband muttered callously. "Well, when my daughter grows up, she'll be of some use to you. Just have a little more patience. You're having a hard time too at home, right? You can come back if you want. Divorce, that's fine, but I need a servant." My heart sank as I processed his words. "Hey, why don't we live together? I'm sick of my current job too," he suggested, casually considering the idea of letting me do all the work while he relaxed in the countryside. What did my husband just say? I was horrified by his callousness. "Oh, that's a good idea," my mother-in-law chimed in, and I felt like I was losing my mind. As I clenched my fists, warm hands covered them, drawing my attention. "Mom, it was my daughter." I slowly looked at her, seeing the worry etched on her face. I crouched down, meeting her eyes, and spoke to her gently. "Hey, Emily, what do you think of Daddy?" Emily hesitated, unable to give an immediate answer. Of course she couldn't. My husband seemed indifferent to her as she grew up. When he returned from work, he barely acknowledged her presence. Instead, he sank into the couch, engrossed in the TV or his phone. On weekends, he disappeared for hours, returning late and often hungover. His drinking had become a regular part of our lives. The aftermath of his binges left him with a hangover, and our family with a strained atmosphere. Family outings were rare, and I struggled to recall the last time we had one. This trip to my in-laws was the first family outing we'd had in years. I doubted my husband even knew which class Emily was in at kindergarten, let alone her likes and dislikes. He seemed disinterested in her future aspirations, oblivious to the fact that she would start elementary school next year. It was no surprise that Emily couldn't express love for her father. I tried again. "Well then, do you like your grandmother?" "No," Emily responded immediately this time. I chuckled softly, realizing her candidness. "Well, yeah, as she yells at you like that," I mused inwardly, surprised by her insight. "It's New Year's Day, and you haven't had a chance to relax at all." Emily continued, surprising me with her observation. "She's always telling you to do this and that. Grandma is so cruel." I was taken aback by her perceptiveness. Children truly saw everything. They could discern when I was constantly being bossed around. Smiling, I realized that perhaps my daughter understood more than I gave her credit for. I asked her the important question, "Emily, do you want to live with your grandmother?" She shook her head. "Do you want your father?" I inquired next. "No," came her immediate and decisive response. It was a wonderful answer, and it solidified my decision. The next day, I took my daughter out in the morning. When we returned to my in-laws' house, darkness had fallen. As I entered, I was met with the annoyed gazes of my mother-in-law and husband. "You're finally home. What have you been up to?" my husband questioned. "Yeah, some stuff," I replied, avoiding his inquiry. Seeing me, my mother-in-law wasted no time in assuming her role as the commander-in-chief. "Young wives these days, I'm hungry. Servant, where's my food and tea?" she barked. Silently, I served them both tea, but when my husband reached for his cup, I swiftly pulled it away. "What? What the hell?" he exclaimed, shocked. Without hesitation, I poured the tea over his head. "Whoa, what are you doing?" "Don't worry, it's already cooled down," I retorted sharply as he recoiled. His attempts to grab the cup were futile as I avoided his reach and placed it back down. "What the hell are you doing? You are a servant." My mother-in-law's fury was evident in her expression. "Shut up. I'm not your servant," I snapped back, my anger boiling over. My mother-in-law tried to stand up to confront me, but I cut her off. "A son's wife is not a servant, in case you didn't know." "I am not a servant," I declared firmly. My mother-in-law was left speechless, unable to retort. The shock on her face spoke volumes as she struggled to find her voice. I fixed my gaze on her, closing the gap between us. "Ah!" my mother-in-law screamed, but I paid no mind. Our faces were now mere centimeters apart. "Listen to me. There's no system in the world that allows you to exploit a wife as you please. I'll protect my family, but I won't be your servant." "But I'm your husband's mother." "I'm family, so protect me and obey me," she retorted defiantly. "Are you crazy? If I were a real servant, I wouldn't be your family," I countered calmly. "How can you claim to be family when all you do is command?" My mother-in-law's face, once pale blue, flushed bright red with anger. How dare you talk to me like that? You were talking to me in the same tone. Why can't I respond in kind? I challenged. I ain't your mother, she insisted. Huh, stop saying stupid things, I snapped, my patience wearing thin. I had held back for so long, but I couldn't anymore. The constant demands from my mother-in-law and husband had pushed me to my limit. Do you think your grandchild is a servant? You treat her like one. I continued, my voice rising in frustration. Stop messing around with me. Moving even closer to her, I saw her face turn blue again, like a traffic light signaling her weakness. What a weak woman you are, I scoffed, turning away from her. My mother-in-law, still with a blue face, trembled slightly, shaken by the confrontation. I shifted my attention to the other person in the room. Now you, I demanded, my tone sharp. Yes, he responded, but his answer only fueled my frustration. So shameful how he answers like this, I muttered, glaring at him. What have you been doing while our daughter was being treated like a servant? I pressed, my anger simmering. I was on my phone, he admitted, his voice lacking any conviction. Anne was drinking beer, I added bitterly. Drinking beer while your daughter and wife were treated like servants. What a great life you have. I'm sorry, he muttered weakly, but his apology only fueled my rage. You think you just have to apologize? I yelled at him, a devilish look in my eyes. He recoiled and scurried behind his mother for cover. What are you doing? My mother-in-law interjected, but my headache was pounding too loudly to care. Forget it. Just fill this out. I snapped, thrusting a paper toward him. What is this? He asked, cautiously emerging from behind his mother. Divorce papers, I replied matter-of-factly. We're divorcing, so I'll never come here again. What? Both my mother-in-law and husband exclaimed, their shock evident. His mouth dropped open, I noted dryly, shaking the paper in front of them. My part is already filled out. I'll submit it to the government office after the New Year's break, so get to it. That paper is a fake. How can you get it when the government office is closed? My husband protested desperately. Well, I'm sorry, but you can get divorce papers even on holidays, and you can even download them online. If I want, I can bring it to the office today, and they will accept it. I countered, pushing the papers toward him. He shook his head, half crying. No, I don't want this. I don't want a divorce. You don't want me to leave you, huh? No, you'd be glad to have me around to do everything for you, yes? I retorted bitterly. You don't want a divorce because you're comfortable with me as your servant. No, that's not what I meant, he stammered, but his feeble protests fell on deaf ears. No, I declared firmly, refusing to entertain any further discussion. Is this déjà vu? I recalled the way my husband screamed moments earlier, echoing my own outburst. Shrugging it off, I accepted that if he wasn't willing to write it down, I'd have to seek help from an expert. I'm getting a divorce, even if you don't sign it. I've already spoken to my parents, I declared, firm in my decision. Emily, I called out. Yes, Mom. Emily emerged, ready with her bag packed, as if anticipating my call. Are you ready? I asked, holding up my own bag. Yes, I've packed all my things, she confirmed, her bag in hand. Hey, are you going somewhere? My husband's incredulous voice broke through the tension. I glanced back at him. Good question. We're going back to my parents' house now. Huh? You've got to be kidding me, he protested. No, I'm not, I stated firmly. Treating us like servants is no joke. We can discuss this through our lawyer. Goodbye. With that, I took my luggage and headed for the front door with Emily. My husband quickly followed, pleading, Wait a minute. You can't live without me. Hearing his words, I halted and turned around slowly. Did you forget? I asked, my tone cutting. I used to have a better career than you, and I used to make more money than you. I quit my job when I got pregnant, but even then, I was making more money than you are now. My words hit him like a brick, his face paling at the realization. He had conveniently forgotten about our past. I know I have a blank slate, but I will start working little by little. My parents are willing to help me. We're going to stay at their house for a while, and I'll go back to work, little by little. Even if I don't make as much money as I used to, I'll manage. No, I'll make it work. My determination brought my husband to the brink of tears, his resolve crumbling in the face of my resolve. I'm sorry, I can change. Please don't divorce me, my husband pleaded, desperation evident in his voice. You had so many chances to change your mind, but you were the one who threw them away. It's too late for regrets, I replied firmly, my hand resting on the front door. Then my mother-in-law, who had remained silent until then, called out to me. Annoyed, I turned around to see her with a troubled expression. What is it? I snapped. My meals, she began, her voice trailing off. I don't care, I yelled, and without another word, my daughter and I left my in-laws' house and headed to my parents'. Upon arriving, my parents welcomed us with warm smiles. Rough start to the new year, my mother remarked, urging us to warm up by the heater. My daughter visibly relaxed, immediately peeling tangerines. Sitting by the heater and eating tangerines for the new year was a simple yet comforting start to what had been a hectic day. As I watched my daughter enjoy the moment, I made a promise to myself to visit the shrine tomorrow and make a wish for a more peaceful year ahead. In the days that followed, my ex-husband continued to plead against the divorce. Despite the difficult discussions, we eventually reached an agreement, especially considering our daughter's refusal to stay with her father. Child support was settled in one lump sum, as I couldn't trust him to make regular payments. As a result, our original apartment was sold, and my ex-husband returned to his parents' home. Meanwhile, my ex-mother-in-law's behavior worsened, fueled by the gossip circulating in the close-knit community. Ignoring my ex-husband's pleas for help, I calmly informed him of the child support payment and ended the call. Blocking his number, I found myself overcome with laughter. For a while after that, I couldn't stop laughing.